Why was this ranch abandoned? What happened here? It sits in a beautiful valley, surrounded by mountains and streams. The Green River flows by it. What happened here? Why is it abandoned? Join me as I venture into northwest Colorado, a desolate, wild country far from any town. This is a place where cowboys and outlaws roam free, a place where early settlers struggled to survive. It's a story about greed, murder, a woman's fight to keep what she loves, and a cattle baron that tried to take it all away. Who was this woman? Who was the cattle baron? Who was the assassin? Why were two seemingly innocent ranchers murdered? Hello YouTube, we are back in Browns Park, Colorado. We're going to go visit the historic two-bar ranch. So it's a beautiful day out today. It's about 23 degrees, but with the sun, gosh, it feels wonderful. I'm not even wearing a coat. It got down to about -2 last night though. So pretty thankful that it's warmed up to 23. You can definitely tell not a lot of people come out this way because the weeds are crazy. We are in outlaw country, the true Wild West. Browns Park, or Browns Hole as the early settlers called it, had a colorful past. Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid, Tom Horn, and many others spent time here. Hardened ranchers like Basset, Isom Dart, Matt Rash fought to make a living here. Cattle barons like Ora Haley tried to steal it all away from them. Our story begins in the late 1800s. Cattle barons from the east were buying small ranches and taking over public lands in the west. Pushing out small families and settlers, their motivation was clear: make more money. The cattle barons often used questionable tactics to push the small ranchers out of their way. This led to many disputes on the open range. Let me introduce you to Ann Basset. She was born May 12, 1878 in Browns Hole, Colorado. Her sister Josie was born in 1874. They grew up ranching where they learned horse riding, roping, and shooting. They went to boarding school and became intelligent, articulate young women. But the life of a cowboy was their true calling. Ann returned to Browns Hole, where she continued her life as a rancher. At age 15, Ann even caught the eye of Butch Cassidy. Outlaws were as much a part of the Hole as the Green River and sagebrush. You see, Browns Hole borders 3 states: Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming. It's a long ways away from any city. It sits in a fertile valley with rugged mountains on either side, and the Green River runs right down the middle of it. Are you stuck, Kimber? You're on the wrong side of the fence. Do I need to rescue you? She'll figure it out. With its mild winter and remote location, outlaws loved it. The ranchers and outlaws got along just fine. The outlaws never caused any trouble in the Hole and would often buy supplies from the ranchers. In return, the ranchers turned a blind eye to their nefarious activities outside of the Hole. Around the 1880s, big cattle outfits were pushing their way into northwest Colorado. Known as cattle barons, their herds often exceeded 30,000 plus cattle. They would absolutely decimate the countryside, eating everything in sight. This made it tough for small ranchers. These big outfits would take over public lands that ranchers like Ann Basset depended on. This one, the roof is all falling in on it. The outside of it's holding up pretty good. When Ann found out a cattle baron named Ora Haley, a man despised by most, had bought a ranch near Browns Park, well, she didn't take it lightly. Ann was not going to let this cattle baron take over her beloved Browns Park. Back then, the residents of Browns Park were not necessarily known to be law-abiding citizens. In fact, cattle rustling was viewed as a way of life. Big cattle outfits would routinely pass by Browns Park en route to Wyoming to be sold. Inevitably, cattle from these big herds would stray. Many of the Browns Park ranchers would round up these strays. Matt Rash, Isom Dart, and the Bassets were all guilty of it. So when Ora Haley's Bar 2 cattle came anywhere near Browns Park, Ann, Matt, and Isom would rustle them. Of course, this didn't sit too well with Ora Haley. He brought charges against Ann for rustling. When it went to court, the charges were dropped. Nobody wanted to charge a small rancher with rustling. All this time, Haley's cattle crept closer and closer to Browns Park. Desperate, Haley hired a detective named Tom Horn. Tom Horn had a reputation, and not a good one. He was known to take justice into his own hands. In a closed-door meeting with several prominent ranchers, Tom Horn said he will use the system that never fails: extermination. All but Ora Haley left the room after Tom uttered those words. Many a cowboy, I'm sure, stayed in here. This is truly the Wild West out here. Tom Horn immediately set to work investigating who was rustling cattle. Using an alias of Tom Hicks, he posed as a wayward traveler, playing on the generosities of Ann Basset and Matt Rash, staying at their ranches as a guest, eating their food, and sleeping in their beds. Tom Horn reported back to Haley's foreman. He had gathered all the evidence he needed. All the evidence he needed to perform his sick vigilante justice. Ora and Tom both knew pressing charges wasn't enough. These small-town juries would just side with the ranchers. They needed to make a statement. For a second time, cattle rustling charges were filed against Ann. Then, on the morning of July 8th, 1900, 3 shots rang out. Local rancher Matt Rash was found dead. A trail of blood from the front door leading to his lifeless body on the bed tells of his final moments. A note written in blood was found next to him. Although it was unintelligible, it no doubt told of his killer. The murder of Matt Rash sent a shockwave of terror across the valley. Was the murderer done, or was he just getting started? An infuriated Ann immediately blamed Tom Hicks, the mysterious guest that had stayed with her only months before. Oh, and look, this is part of an old bed frame here. Look at the ornate parts of it. She knew in her heart he was responsible for the killing of her fiancé, Matt Rash. You heard me right. They were engaged to be married. The killer wasn't done. On October 3rd, 1900, close friend of the Basset family, Isom Dart, was gathered with his friends at his ranch. While he walked from his cabin to his corrals, 1 shot rang out. Yeah, so they would have had a wood-burning stove right here in the middle. And there's your bunk beds. Old plank floors. Looks like probably the only thing sleeping in here anymore is maybe some bats and some rats. The bullet hit Isom in the head, killing him instantly. A .30-30 bullet was used, the same caliber used to kill Matt Rash. This second murder caused many to flee the valley, opening a void for Ora Haley to fill. He bought the ranch I am standing in today. Now, he was in Ann Bassett's front yard. Again, if these walls could talk, what stories would they tell? The cowboys telling their adventures that they had that day. Rumors swirled. The law didn't seem to care. Was Ora Haley going to take over Browns Park? Mounting her trusted horse named Major, armed only with a Winchester rifle and her attitude of absolute defiance, a petite Ann Bassett fought back. She harassed 2-bar employees wherever she could. She drove 2-bar cattle into the nearby desert. She drove them into the Green River where the swift current would carry them away. Looks like there might be something carved down here. Joe. Hey, that's my name. Apparently I slept here. Relentless, she drove them off cliffs. She wanted Haley's losses to be large. Here's some stuff over here. Noel Weeks. Oh, Noel Weeks. Yeah. Oh, what's this here? Hopefully you can see that. I don't know what he was adding up. Was that how much pay he was getting every day? $9, $5, $7, $2? I don't know. Maybe. There's more right here too. They both come out to be about 100. So I wonder how many days. Let's see. One. She fought Haley in court, drawing spectators from as far away as Denver and Cheyenne. They all wanted to watch this petite young woman, a small-time rancher, battle a big, bad cattle baron in court. So there's 27 numbers there. Could that be him adding something up for a month? And could that have been his pay? Maybe they got paid monthly? On Ann's final day in court, her lawyer asked Ora Haley how big his two-bar ranch was. Ora Haley, with much confidence, told the court just how large his ranch was. Ann's lawyer pounced, asking why Haley's numbers were so much higher than what he had reported to the county assessor. This immediately cast a doubt on Ora Haley's character, and was likely the silver bullet that took him down. The jury was quick to make their decision. Ann was acquitted on all charges, giving her the name Queen Anne Basset. My first guess, this would have been where they were storing their food at. It's completely underground. There's probably shelving in here. And look at those two big logs they got there. Actually, all these logs on this structure are really big. That's pretty cool. They didn't get them from right around here, I can tell you that. They would have had to have gone up in the mountains a little ways to get logs this big. The murders were never solved, but it is widely believed Tom Horn was to blame. One rumor saying he admitted to the killings while drinking at a bar one night. Alcohol has been known to loosen many lips. This would have been one of the more important buildings in the area. The old pooper. And it looks like it was a double-seater too. Well, there's one seat there and one seat there. Tom Horn did get his just desserts in the end. He was hung in Cheyenne, Wyoming in 1903 for the murder of a 14-year-old boy. As for Ora Haley, after the trial, his name was ruined. He sold most of his assets in northwest Colorado and left town. Oh, look, there's an old shoe. Not that old though, it's made with rubber, but still pretty cool. Not much left to this one either. Part of the roof's still up. You coming, Kimber? Can you make it? Are you too tired? Come on, you can do it. Come on, Kimber. Oh boy. Jeez. She's getting old. So this whole area right here looks burnt. I don't know if this would have been like a burn pit where they were burning their garbage, or if it was a building that burnt down. But you can see a bunch of old like plates and stuff on the china pottery, I guess is the word I'm looking for, on the ground here. Ann Basset lived to be 77 years old, dying in 1956. In her later years, she was quoted as saying, "I did everything they said I did, and a hell of a lot more." Some old bones. Probably from some poor old cowboy. And there's his shoe. They just threw him in the burn pit. An old bowl. Look, there's even a marking on it.